madly well. So guys, I'm just waiting for that. So for all those people who regularly dial into Mark, Isaac, and I's AHDB AgriLeaders team, they know we've got a big bank of lights, and we're waiting for the social media to kick in before we can start properly. Team, what's the date today? Today is Thursday, the 17th of August. Can we just talk about women's football quickly? Because we've got such a great mix of you. What's the prediction? What's going to happen on Sunday with England versus who they play, Mark? Spain. In the final. Rebecca, what's going to happen?
Oh, we're going to win. I have full faith in the ladies, yes.
And have you been following them?
Unfortunately, no. I'm busy with the pigs, but I've been trying to chime in whenever I can to keep track of how they're doing.
Yeah, but are you going to listen in on a Sunday? On Sunday at 11 o'clock?
Yes, yeah, I'll try and get it on and see how they get on. Like I said, I have full faith that the women will pull through for us.
Rebecca, isn't it hilarious that the men have never reached the final since, help me, Mark, 1969? And here come the ladies. Leah, are you going to watch them?
Probably not.
What's that?
I haven't followed it. I don't follow football at all, but it's women, so maybe.
Yeah, but come on,
background.
Someone's got to take you down to a nice hostelry or a big screen to watch it, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Alex, come on, help me. Are you going to watch it?
No.
Mark, this is going well.
No, only because I'm milking this weekend. I'm working, so I won't get the time.
Okay, but you do want them to win, don't you?
Oh, England all the way.
Yeah, no,
Go support the home team.
It'd be great because hopefully, Mark, you could do this because with your AgriLeader forum, you had a great lady ex-England captain, didn't you, rugby player, and now you're going to be duty bound to get a lady footballer, aren't you, Mark?
All I will say is we've
hello.
already preempted it, and let's just say there might be a little bit of a football twist already to the AgriLeader Forum 24.
Excellent. Well, everyone, I'm sure you're going to endorse all of the team. I think it's brilliant. I think anything that lifts our nation and especially sports, because sports is a great thing. Okay, we're all live on our social media. My name is Max McGillivray from Beanstalk Global. I'm going to hand over to my partner in crime, Mark, just to explain what he does and what the AHDB does and what the Talking Leaders series is about. And then we're going to move over to our bunch of crazy ladies and to find out more about them. Mark, over to you, please.
Brilliant, thank you, Max, and welcome everyone. So AHDB and the AgriLeader team, it's a program where we're trying to assist farmers around the UK develop their leadership and management capabilities, and we cover a whole range of topics and areas to try and assist farmers with this, from discussion groups, digital meetings, and things like this with Talking Leaders. And what we try and do, particularly with the Talking Leaders series, is bring people that maybe have been outside of agriculture or industries that are outside of agriculture and get a bit of an insight in terms of their journey on a topic. And today we're really grateful to have these fantastic young budding farmers from the UK to talk about their journey into their farming careers.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. And we're live on social media. We're live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter. Oh, Mark, I've forgotten one. Or come back to me. But we're also live on our podcast and live recording on our podcast. So just on that basis, it'd be great, team, to just get a bit of an update as to who you are and where you currently are in your career. Alex, it was hysterical in our green room earlier when you were waving your laptop at us, your Dell laptop, which I think might have seen better days, but you're now on your phone. It's all working well. Alex, who are you and who are you representing?
So I'm Alexandra Hayes, a dairy farmer from Leicestershire, working for JWP Farming, spring block calving herd.
Excellent. And what's your background? How did you get into the mercurial world of dairy?
So I'm not from a farming family. I've always worked two jobs, and I used to be a barmaid. I've always been into horses and, the outside, and I got real tired of being the wrong side of the bar when everyone's coming in for a drink on a Saturday night and, working late evenings. So then I swapped it for working early mornings instead. And relief milking for 2 years, and then took the plunge and started it full time, and now I wouldn't do it.
Alex, don't go. I was going to. Oh, Alex, do you love it?
Oh yeah.
And would you recommend it?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Excellent.
Full time or part time, the flexibility is there,
Yeah. Well, Alex, well done. Rebecca, we were saying in the green room how you've been up early this morning. What have you been doing this morning? Tell everyone.
We've been weaning the pigs today, so we weaned 300 piglets, and we obviously have 3 breeds on the farm because we're pedigree high health genetics unit, and yeah, we sort and sex the piglets, and health checking all of them this morning, mucking out. So it's been a busy morning.
Yeah, and in the green room, you're saying that's you done for the day, but now you're off to do your sheep. Just explain that.
Yeah, so I also have a small flock of sheep, 30 breeding ewes, and that's something me and my partner have started. We chose the hard way to start it, actually. We started off with 10k lambs, and we've just over the years slowly grown, and finding lamb was a pain, but we've now got ourselves some, long-term grazing. And yeah, no, so we've built up our flock, and yeah, we sort of do it on the sides as well. My partner's a arable farmer, and he's a sprayer and combine operator. So we both lead very busy lives, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, so Rebecca, here's the question. Say you've got to walk onto the proverbial ark, and you can only take sheep or pigs. What do you take?
Oh, that is a tough one. There's so many things I love about either. I think I just have to try and smuggle one of each.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic answer. Well done. Leah, who are you representing?
So I work for Holton Farms Limited, which is a dairy farm in Cheshire. We're milking around 500 pro-cross dairy cows, and I'm the head of young stock, so I look after, I lose track, but probably about 350 plus followers. From the minute they're born to around the time that they're bulling at about 12 months old.
Excellent. And how did you, brilliant business, Mark and I've been very lucky to have been up there and film with you all previously. How did you get into the I'm going to use the word again, mercurial world of dairy, please?
Yeah, so I kind of felt like it's a bit cliche, but I've kind of fallen into it, and the path that I've taken has brought me sort of to where I am now. So I started by going to Harper Adams University, so very farmy. I'm not from a farming background, but I really, really liked the university, and that was to do veterinary nursing. So I'd always had in my head that I liked dogs and cats, and that was the route I was going to go down. And since I'd been there, I decided that I really was fascinated by the cows and the other people that were there. So I chose to do more at uni to do with the cat, like the cow side of things. Like the dissertation that I did was on calf management, and it was kind of a test to see if I could be interested in it for that, because it's quite a lot, it's 10,000 word dissertation. So when I came out the other end of it, I was still interested in it, which was a big thing for me. I did AI courses while I was there, and then when I graduated, I did some pregnancy scanning courses, and I just got into it like that, really. Wow. Yeah. So my kind of passion for it has grown over time, really.
One of the things that I was really interested when we visited your farm is that for those that don't know, there's robotic milkers that you can deploy, robotic milkers that will do the milking for you, and so you just have to look after the feeding, the husbandry of the cows. But speaking to all of you guys don't want to go down the route of robotic milkers because you care for your cows, and one of the key times of the day as to when you can ascertain as to how the cow is when you're milking. I thought that's really interesting, because you could have gone that easy route or gone down the robotic milking side, but actually your preference and your desire to care for your cows is so paramount that you even though it might give some efficiencies, that you guys want to be so hands-on with your cows. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Boom.
We're 3 times a day milking, so we're able to pick up on a lot more problems that might occur. The people in the parlour are really good at picking up on common things they might see and reporting it and getting on it really, really quickly. So if we didn't have that, I think things would possibly get missed, and we don't want that to happen.
No, well done, because it's all about the cows, all about the cattle. Mark, so this is you've done so well to get such a range of lovely people today, developing your future farming career. Mark, going over to you. We need to learn from our team here. Over to you, please.
Yeah, no, it's we've got a great group here, and actually I think we'd had touch points with most of you or the businesses you're working with through there, but you came together on one of our courses, our programs, the AgriLeader AgriGrow program, which is a management development program for up and coming budding individuals, and you all stood out as being exceptional examples. But the one thing, and a question first to Rebecca. Rebecca, are you from a farming background, or are you like Leah and Alex, non-farming background that have come into the industry?
No, I'm not from a farming background at all. My parents actually have a mixed martial arts business, and I was teaching there, and I also did like an equine course at college, and I worked with part-time doing some freelance groom work, obviously teaching the karate and a bit of pub work, and then I was looking to get into a full-time job, and farming's always been something that's sort of interested me, but I've never sort of had the courage to step in and do it. And then I just I saw this pig job advertised, and I thought I'll bite the bullet, and I applied on a whim, thinking I've got no experience, I'm not going to get it. I got an interview, and then they took me around the unit, and I just fell in love with the place, and just the pigs. It was a fantastic new challenge, just what I was looking for, and it's amazing how it was so sort of opposite to what you think. You think it's just mucking out and feeding them, but there's so much more that goes into it, and the amount of attention to detail and the effort they all really put in at the unit is fantastic, to get the results we do. Like all the EID system, we're quite different because we're a genetics unit, obviously using the EIDs, but it's really interesting to see from start to finish, from farrow to finish, all the different bits that go in behind the scenes on it. There's so much you can learn, and I was so chomping at the bit to get going.
So you had that spark and that brave move to actually put your head above the parapet and stick an application in and to work, and what you saw on the other side was very, very different. Leah, Alex, what about you? What was the spark? Because I think Max is the same. I think we've got 5 people here that all are directly not from farming backgrounds. I can't speak for Max. I don't think you come from a farming pedigree directly. I'm definitely not. I'm a townie. Leah, what was your spark to actually go to or get in or start experimenting into the world of agriculture?
Yeah, I think it can be really daunting for people to get into it if they're not from it. The biggest thing for me is that when I visited Holton Farms the first time, on the face of it, it wasn't like a normal farm. And for me, that was the thing that stood out. That was kind of like, well, this is really quite new. And I'd already been in touch a little bit with them before. And seeing the calves, because we've got a calf nursery and everything's really open to the public, that kind of pushed me over the edge a little bit to kind of like give me the confidence to go for it, because I thought that's actually something I could really get involved in. And I didn't really know how I was going to go about it, but I kind of stumbled across it on that particular day. And that's kind of where it went from there. So seeing the calves and the way they do it's different. It's very different. And I think I like that. So that's how I got into it, really.
Yeah, so not your stereo. Yeah, not Tom wasn't there with his straw hat and his bit of straw.
No, it's very different. But we pride ourselves on that as well. We like to be different. So yeah. Yeah,
that's important. What about yourself, Alex? What was the spark for you to hang up the bar towels and progress the relief milking role to the management now?
I mean, for me, it was just wanting to like care for an animal. You know, I sort of worked with horses a little bit, but then I didn't really want to work with my own horses when I got home at the end of the day. And I felt like I didn't really know where I was going in my life. I didn't have a career. You know, I had a full-time job and I had my bar work, but I didn't have something that I was passionate about. And I was walking through my local village, and I just saw an advert in the newsagents, and it was actually, I was 21 at the time, but I just saw an advert for them looking for a school leaver or someone after 3 p.m. when they finish school. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to call the number and see what happens. And straight away they were like, oh yeah, come for an interview. And then that was it then. I went for my interview, and I worked on that farm for 2 years. It was a high yielding farm. And I sort of wanted to do more grass based, because I like seeing the animals outside. And I saw an advert for the farm I work on now. I've been here 6 years now. And I saw the advert for here and applied. And I've just been here ever since,
Mark, can I interject? It's really interesting. It's really interesting about the sort of the equine connection, because I remember about 5-10 years ago that a number of agricultural institutions spun themselves towards equine because that would get more bums on seats student wise. But then unfortunately there weren't the roles at the other end, because the equine industry, especially say within professional horse racing, is not that big. And it's a shame in some way that we've got some fantastic examples here that back then they couldn't have slewed that offering, perhaps included equine, but also included livestock, and we could have got even more people like our fantastic examples here, Mark, into livestock. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And in my previous life, where I managed, I was head of agriculture at Plumpton College. We saw a lot of students, particularly from the equine and the animal management, the vet nursing sector, would actually take not a U-turn, but take a slightly direction shift into the world of agriculture, A, because they're passionate about working with animals, but B, because there was a lot more career opportunities at the end of it. I can remember we used to turn out 450 animal management students, and there was only about 75 jobs each year. Whereas agriculture we could probably say was the other way around. I turned out about 75, 80 students a year, and there was probably 200 jobs available for them.
Yeah, because you think if we could put these three ladies through the proverbial photocopier, there'd be so many employers out there who would love to have all of you guys on board. I'm sure. Team, just a question from me. I had a really odd conversation with a client of mine. They run an advertising agency in agriculture, and they find it really difficult to try and find people like you to join them to work with clients to promote their businesses, whether it be livestock, whether it be machinery suppliers, whether it be seed suppliers. And they gave me this really odd example. They take on this young chap who didn't come from the sector, and he's in his mid-20s. And he was getting it, but not as fast as he could do. And at a review, the proprietor of this advertising agency said, why don't you invest in yourself a little bit? If I gave you some podcasts to listen to, industry podcasts, there's so many of them, you'd learn so much more about the sector. You've got a 20-25 minute commute on the train to the office. Why don't you listen to those podcasts in the morning or in the evening? And he said, no, I refuse to. And she said, why? And he said, because that's my time. If I'm going to do something to better your business, I'll do it in your time. But I don't want to listen to those in my time. And she was really shocked by this. And it's sort of pulling on a negative connotation that if we went down the route of the Daily Mail, would say that all the younger generation haven't got any appetite to work. Then we look at you three who are just there 25 hours a day doing what you do. How do you think that's do you think that there's a common trait of a younger age group that they don't want to get involved with work per se, and that makes it even more difficult to get them interested about agriculture, because agriculture is great, but it's also hard work? Do you think that's true, that there is that problem with that generation, Rebecca?
I think, the young generation can sometimes lack motivation, but I think if you can show them sort of what's possible and what can be achieved,
well done,
and you can capture their interest. We find it at work. We have a lot of young part-timers at the weekend who come in to help, who are still in college, and even some who have just turned 16 and still in school. And it's amazing once they learn what's possible. We've got some fantastic young folk at our farm that that really want to try and make a thing of this and want to do better and want to learn. I think a lot of it, the lack, especially for the pig industry, there's a lack of teaching. You can see it in the colleges. They don't really teach too much about pigs, so it'd be great to show them more the possibilities and what a fantastic thriving industry it is. How it's developing.
Well done. On the basis we don't have home economics in some schools, let alone anything about agriculture. So I've learned so much from you, Rebecca. So we need to get them ensconced, get the hands dirty. Leah, what do you think? Is that just like yourself? Is that the answer?
Yeah, I think it's striking, because I remember being at school and agriculture was never something we were taught about, never a career path that anyone spoke about at all. So that's the reason why I came out of school not even considering it, and that's how I stumbled into it. I don't think it needs to be the case of stumbling into it. I think it should be an attractive career path. And if I find that we've got a lot of young people that will, if you show you're passionate, it rubs off on them, and they will give the same care, the level of care that you give, and the high standards that we want. They will follow that if you're setting a good example, and it makes them want to go on courses and develop their knowledge within agriculture. And I go on conferences, and we're sort of encouraged to do courses and things like that. And when someone a little bit younger than you, who's maybe thinking about their GCSE decisions or whatever, when they can see that you're doing really well and you're coming back with all this knowledge, and that's really positive, or that has a really positive effect on them. And we've got a bit of a thing at the moment where we want people for apprenticeships and things like that, but a lot of young people have got in their head that they want to go to university, but an apprenticeship on the farm might not necessarily enable them to get on a university degree because they need to go to college or whatever. But the skills that they learn actually on the farm are the best skills that they can learn, rather than, you know, necessarily being in a college. They would learn so much more and then go to university with all that knowledge, and then they realise then that they're probably a cut above the rest because they've had all that experience. And at the minute, there's just a bit of a barrier between that.
Well said. And I don't know if you did. I'm ex-Harper as well. One of the making of me was doing a pre-college year before I went to Harper. Was, as we said earlier in the green room, Rebecca, on pigs, and it was and I don't come from a farming background, and I just got really into it on that basis. But as you say, it really helped going into college, knowing how to do the practicality of it, and just silly things, understanding the seasons of it. I knew nothing about. Alex, do all your mates who are non-farming think you're mad?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. One of my friends, she actually lives with me now. She never quite understood why I was always cancelling plans, or never had time to see her, and it's just because I was so wrapped up in my life. You know, this isn't just a job, it's my life. And it's only since she's been living with me now, and she actually did a bit of farming this year for us. She did a calf rearing on my weekend on, and she sort of understands now the reasoning why, you know, I'd be doing something, or a cow needed something, and I wouldn't be able to go for dinner like we'd planned, or, you know, I was always late.
That's brilliant. I love that line, that this is your life. Mark, crikey, if you could encapsulate that and use that as a slogan, be it insurance or go into farming. Oh, no, yes, insurance. No, yeah, farming. It is my life. So Mark, you know this stat because we've said it before. And the NFU always says that 6 out of 10 kids don't know where fruit and veg comes from. And with that, you can encapsulate the whole livestock sector as well. So Mark, from what we're learning from the team here, how can we attract, say there's urban individuals to experience farms and get that passion, get that bug, as the three ladies are saying? How do we do it? What's the solution?
Crumbs, if I had that answer, I'll be a very popular man in UK agriculture. I think it's a really complex situation, but I think some of the points that you've made in terms of how you got into the industry and the passion from all three of you about what you do in terms of creating those different food products, it just comes out in bucketfuls. But you've got purposes in terms of what you're doing and why you do it, and you love it. And I think one of the challenges, so I'm from non-farming, like I said, and I stumbled into a friend at secondary school that lived on a farm, and then ended up really peeing off his parents because I was there all the time, because I just was fascinated by dairy cows. But looking now as a father with my 15-year-old son, who's a very capable young man, do we need to somehow provide a bit of confidence? I look at Alex and Rebecca, you just applied for jobs either through the paper shop that you saw an advert or just saw something in it. How do we give this Gen Z the confidence to actually look at something that's a bit different, that maybe won't be the straw hat and the bit of the straw hat? And then on the other flip side, for the farmer, how do we break some of the barriers down, or the perceptions around, okay, farming is dangerous. Farming, we have some horrendous health and safety stats, which was a barrier of getting students on farm because of the health and safety compliance and insurance and all that kind of things. and then having someone of a younger generation within the business, how do you go back to having someone that's right at the beginning of their journey rather than the middle of the career that's competent and compliant and knows what they're doing? How do we break those barriers down to make it easier for both sides to get involved?
So Rebecca, let's go Alex, go.
I was thinking, like, you look on Facebook, there's a lot of negativity around farming. So, you know, you look on like farming posts and all it is, you know, older farmers saying, oh, what's a holiday? You don't get a holiday when you farm. And, you know, yeah, you know, you don't, but that's by choice. You know, I could have time off if I wanted time off. And there's a lot of negativity about the hours that you work every week. You know, just because you farm doesn't mean you have to do 120 hours every week. You know, you could do a part-time or relief job. You know, the people don't get to see the opportunities that farming does actually have. And, you know, the online presence of farming all seems to be very negative, you know, and, you know, it is hard work and it is long hours, but we need to be more positive about farming and, you know, sharing the good things. And if that makes sense, you know, and young people are going to read that, because young people, their generation is online. It's all online. They don't go to news agents and look at the ads anymore. You know, so we need to make that more of a positive thing, and, you know, advertising jobs and stuff like that. It all just needs to be more positive.
Yeah, well done. And it's a great example that Jeremy Clarkson and his eclectic team, they've what's the saying, Mark, that they've done more than 22 years worth of Countryside, series. They've got some people so attracted into. Leah, I'll ask Mark's question on his behalf again. And in some ways, it's great that you guys don't come from a farming background. How can we learn what you've learned to attract more people in?
Yeah. I think we need to show the people that they can go for a job on a farm, working on a farm, and it won't mean they have to sacrifice everything. And like Alex was saying, it has to be an attractive, positive thing. And if it's just because the older generation might have done, like you're saying, 120 hours a week, doesn't mean that's how the future of farming is going to be. So I think as well, like, people coming out of university are looking for these high-end jobs, say like agronomists or whatever, feed specialists, when actually jobs on a farm, on the actual farm, can be really technical, and you can need quite a lot of knowledge and kind of experience. And, you know, for me, I've come out of a profession with veterinary nursing, and I still feel completely satisfied in what I do. I'm fulfilling loads of different things like that I've trained to do. I take bloods, and, you know, I can assist the vet surgeries and things like that. It isn't just a hard working kind of like grunty job. It can be more than that. It's what you make of it, I think, as well. So
Well done. And also just to mention about job security. In my day job, I run a recruitment business, and so I see a lot of people, unfortunately, from other sectors that are not associated with ag or horticulture, fresh produce, being made redundant because of the economic changes that we're going through. And I've always been told, if you're in a world war, world recession, world pandemic, if you're in the eating or the cleaning game, you'll be absolutely fine. And there's always going to be progression there within livestock, isn't there, in the UK? Because there's always going to be a need, and the better you get at it, the more opportunities within your existing business or other businesses there will be. Yeah,
exactly. And I think as well, like, I'm a real advocate for the product that we're producing, and we know we're producing something that's nutritious and that's feeding the country, and that for me adds to the satisfaction of what you're doing, and you know that you're fulfilling a purpose as well. And that, I think some people could also feel that way as well if they came into it.
Yeah, well done. And just quickly, give us the advertorial. What's your website? Because you've got a brilliant business there. Brilliant. I was so impressed by everyone sat down at that kitchen table when Mark and I were filming. So just give us your website if you can remember it off the top of your head.
So I think it'll just be HoltonFarms.com probably.
Yeah, you've taken over the internet. Yeah, you're all over the place.
You've got social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere.
So Rebecca, I'm sure you're going to endorse what Leah and Alex said. How can we? What's the stat? 75% of people live in an urban environment, and they're taught by teachers who don't really have a corresponding understanding of agriculture. So how do we influence them to just stick a toe into agriculture to find out more? How, Rebecca?
I'd agree with Leah and Alex here, showing them the potential of what you can do. And like they said, it's not really something that's talked about too much and seen as like a serious career path, but there's so much potential there. I mean, a year into my job, I was managing the farrowing house and I had a team of 3 people. What? And then 4 years down the line, I'm the genetics resource manager. I deal with the customer pigs. I do all the herd selects. I scan the bat fat on all the pigs. There's so much more you can do. And there's so many different sort of types of farming. Like you've got the arable, you've got the beef, dairy, sheep, pigs, poultry, and all them industries have so much unique skill sets. And, they're also interesting. You can delve right into different worlds, so to speak. And I think it's also, there's part of onus on, like, I feel like the farming industry can be a bit closed off. So yeah. I think, showing them more of the positive sides, the good things that we do, and how we're developing and moving forwards to try and capture their minds and, really show them from a young age, like, this is what we do. This is something you can do yourself, when you're older.
Yeah, but Rebecca, it's almost like, I don't know, you're so impressive, you need to be nominated for an award. Tell us about the award, because we're not being shy here, because this is all about showing off the 3 of you, because you're brilliant. Tell us about this award that you've been nominated for, please.
It's Trainee of the Year, the National Pig Awards. So for like the pig world, this is like the creme de la creme. This is the Grammys, so to speak. No, I am really excited for this. I've been nominated on all the work that I've done and how my trainings influence the farm, and just from the passion. I love what I do, and the pigs, they're fantastic. Yeah, I get to go down to London and speak to the judges, and no doubt they've booked a half an hour slot for me, but I feel it might overrun a little bit. Once I get going on pigs, that's it. I can talk for days.
Excellent. Mark, this is a done deal. Rebecca's going to win that. If she doesn't win that, I'm writing a letter, Mark.
Yeah, no, my vote's with Rebecca, definitely. Congratulations, and yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck for the awards. But Max, just to bring in, it's really interesting that the key for me, I've just written the word perception, and how do we get the perception of the industry that it is a very detailed, technological, fast-paced industry, and the point that the whole farmer with the straw hat and the bit of straw in and working 120 hours, would you say, with your recruitment hat on, in the world, there's no such thing as a 9-to-5 job anymore. People are flexible. People work different hours when it's busy. When you're calving or when you're weaning and farrowing, you put the extra hours in. Likewise, my next door neighbour is a stockbroker. He probably does more hours than someone milking cows does, but it's because he has to work with the peaks and the troughs of the stock industry. Would you say that we just need to look about perception and rebrand the kind of industry?
Yeah, I love what Alex said earlier. That Alex, this is your life, and it's not a prison sentence. It's the other way around for those listening on the podcast. And I get infuriated with our sector, and it's so difficult because we are quite fragmented and we've got so many different trade groups. I always use the example of the engineering sector. That the engineering sector, every year, if I just get you to watch out for this, every year they do this. There's about a week-long thing about engineering is the career to go for, and they have the stock standard young lady and young man, both very attractive, in hard hats but in a business suit, standing next to a Airbus 308 at Heathrow, inferring that if you go into engineering, you'll get to work with all this flash gear. They make a lot of margin, they make a lot of money. So they're as a trade group, they do very well to publicize careers. So if you then go to the engineering trade group's website, there's all the careers and lots of people posting. We don't have anything like that. If I could wave a magic wand, I would love to have all 3 of you on the TV, on YouTube, just being yourself, but just being, don't say crazy, being really passionate about the sector. And then mums, dads watching, or younger kids watching would think, God, that's really interesting. They seem so passionate. I want my kids to do that rather than being an insurance clerk. Nothing wrong with being an insurance clerk, but I want them to enjoy life. And look at what Alex has just said, that this is her life, and she's so enjoying it. So Mark, I know it's a bit of a simplified thing, but we've got so many different messages going out. I think it was Rebecca said that we're quite myopic, we're quite insular in our sector, so we need to get this voice out. But we've got three shining examples here, Mark, of three people who haven't been in the sector previously, who've been succumbed to the magical feel of it. And you can see, Mark, they're going to be in it for life, aren't they? They're going to have a job for life. So my magic wand would be to get the likes of these three ladies and obviously corresponding young men to be the poster boys and girls on an external basis, to say, come on in, find out more about agriculture, horticulture, fresh produce, the food sectors, because you'll have a fantastic career and it will be a job for life. That's my views, Mark.
Excellent. That's really good. So yeah, we just need to do something a little bit differently and just put people like Rebecca, Leah and Alex at the forefront to share the message and go from there in different channels as well, because we talk about eating a balanced diet. We need to communicate in a balanced way, because we all take in information in a completely different way. So what's next? Where are you individuals, girls? What's the plan? What's the journey? What's the next steps? Where do you want to get yourselves to within your industry, within your careers? What plans are you making over the next coming days, months, years?
Can I just add, I think Rebecca's going to be president of the Pig Association by next Tuesday. But sorry, Mark, carry on.
Alex, do you want to go first? Where do you want? Where are your aims and aspirations?
So currently at the minute, so I started as a relief milker. I then worked part-time. Then I started full-time as a herdsman. I did that for 3 years, herdsman / 2IC, and then my current boss, he took on another farm, so then he asked me if I could manage the day-to-day of the farm that I currently am on, and I'm still just sort of getting to grips with that at the minute. There's so many different paths that I could go from where I am right now, but right now I still just want to focus on learning to be a good farm manager, and getting the best results and making sure my cows are happy and healthy, and I'm doing the best job that I can. So that's my sort of short-term goal, is to just do better at what I'm doing. And every day's a learning day. Every day I learn something new, and every day you're faced with a different challenge, or and in the future there's so many different options of ventures I could take, whether I stay as a herd manager, because I would like to stay in the dairy industry, whether I stay as a herd manager or start going down profit shares, joint ventures, things like that, but that's sort of in the future. But the opportunities are endless.
It's honing that craft, and whether that be from a technical perspective with the cows, whether that be from managing people, whether it be from managing the business and the data.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point that you made. There's so many opportunities as you move forward, whether that be to continue on the management journey and work for somebody else, or look at the opportunities, particularly that it's very popular in New Zealand, to actually share farm and joint venture, and not necessarily need to be born into a farming family to potentially own cows, or even one day own your own farm.
Yeah.
Sure. What about yourself, Leah? Sorry, where are you aspiring to go?
Yeah, so I suppose I've kind of used lots of different things that I've done in the past to kind of propel me forward, and I'm always looking to learn, develop further. I'm sort of itching to keep learning, and I've been accepted to Harperkeel Vet School, so I'm going to go and enroll. It starts next month actually, to eventually end up probably being a farm animal vet. So this is like a massive thing for me. I want to stay within agriculture, I'm going to stay working. It's just going to have to be a bit of a juggle. So yeah, that's what's going to happen for the next 5 years, and then we'll see where it goes from there, really. But yeah,
fantastic news, and what a fantastic grounding to have with the practical AgriGrow and what you've done at Harper now to push on to become a vet, and again a sector which is crying out for large animal vets. Say hello to Dr. Josh Onyango when you get to Keele Vets, a very good old colleague who is a professor there, the smartest electorate you'll meet in your life. Good. What about yourself, Rebecca? Where are you aiming to progress to?
Well, sort of short term, looking to the future. Over the next few months, it'd be nice to get a few more European exports under my belt. I've recently done my first ones. We had 300 gilts to Ireland, and then we've just sent out a Spain and a France export, and this is big for me because I've selected all the pigs myself. I've sorted out a lot of the paperwork, and there's a lot that goes into it. But it'd be nice to get a few more out. We've got one for Belarus and Germany, hopefully coming along. So it'd be nice to get my confidence going with them a bit more. But I'd also like to try and develop my skills on the farm, sort of more towards the maintenance side. So I will be badgering my manager to help me in my welding and like running the straw chopper to try and make myself more well-rounded person. I'd also like to develop my skills in leadership and management. I've sort of just touched the tip of the iceberg with that. So I'd love to develop that a bit more so I can help develop my team members and, create a really strong team up in the finisher department, which would be fantastic. So yeah, there's lots to look forward to and to work towards.
Rebecca, well done. Mark, can I just ask a sideways question? Rebecca, I'm not going to pose this to you because you've already answered it. This might make Mark squirm. Alex, Leah, if I could give you, say, £5,000 from the AHDB and 3 months off work to better yourself for where you want to go. So you've got 3 months off work and £5,000 to spend to better yourself. How are you going to use that money, Alex?
I think I'd like to do some courses, or even, I know New Zealand is slightly different to the UK, but I would probably go and try, manage a farm in New Zealand if money and, work was sorted.
It's AHDB monopoly money, so that's great. So you're going to learn by going overseas because you're going to see better farming, not better, differing farming systems that you can learn from and potentially bring that intelligence back to the UK.
Yeah, because I like the grass-based dairying, and obviously in New Zealand that's a very big thing. And yeah, it would just be throw myself in the deep end and just challenge myself a little bit. And if the HDB monopoly money was there and the time off work, that is what I would do. I would I'd make the most of that time and experience different things, and instead maybe not even stay in one place, just go and see how different systems work, and talk with other herd managers, and
Really. Alex, I think we've made two people very worried there, the AHDB and your boss, but I'm sure you've already looked at this. Nuffield, if you look at the Nuffield's farming scholarship, that's exactly what they do. So I'm sure you know that. So Leah, we've just given you the £5,000 of monopoly money from the HDB, 3 months off work. What are you going to do with it?
Annoying, because Alex has literally said the same thing I'd say.
Oh, don't say it. You want to hear.
Before I applied for vet school, I actually applied for the Nuffield and I withdrew the application because I'd got accepted to vet school. So that is still something on my radar that might happen later on in my career. But I would travel because I am quite keen to see other systems and what we can learn from them and what they can learn from us. And I'd love to kind of meet different people from different countries to discuss how it's different and things like that.
And just quickly, for those that don't know, just give the elevator pitch for Nuffield, can you, Leah?
So the Nuffield Scholarship, basically, you have to come up with a research project, and they fund you in finding out and like researching that topic. But you can go pretty much anywhere in the world, I think. It's quite a long time you're traveling for. And then you come back and then you write up your research project.
Yeah, but it's a great thing that we have in the industry, Mark, isn't it? To take Mark, over to you. Back to you. I'm stealing all the questions.
No, you're good. But it is a fantastic thing. Enough of minimum of 12 months travel. If you look at the CARAS website, you'll see a plethora of information on the AgriLeadership page around all the courses and scholarships and funding available from whether it be the Worshipful Company of Farmers or the Institute of Ag Managers or Nuffield and all the other kind of people, and then the Farmers Club Charitable Trust. There's all sorts of little pots of money that you can tap into to be able to progress these kind of things. But there's lots of opportunity and there. So we're sort of pushing forward. I'm going to ask you a question a little bit off topic. What's the best thing about your current job, and what's the worst thing about your current job?
Is that for me?
We'll go for you first.
The best thing I find is I really like sharing my knowledge of my background with people that are passionate and want to learn as well. I really like when I can kind of bounce ideas off of other people, and I like problem solving, and there's a lot of that in farming, and no 2 days are the same, and it keeps you on your toes, and I really, really enjoy that element of it. I like working with all the industry people that we work with, the vets, feed people, different companies like AHDB. That's probably my best thing, is the connections with people, and obviously working with the animals, but the people are a massive part of it as well. The worst thing's probably you don't have enough hours in the day to get things done, and it's frustrating because I like ticking off my to-do list, and sometimes there's something at the bottom that's not been done. It's unsettling.
That's the roll round to the next day, which
I don't like that.
That's good. But yeah, that variety in terms of the day, and the again, the skill sets that you just covered. It's not just about, like I think Rebecca said, about mucking out and feeding animals. There's a whole lot of other bits. What about yourself, Rebecca? What's your best thing about your day to day, and what's the worst thing?
The best thing is the challenges that get presented to you in the day. Like, nothing's ever A to B. Like, even there's so much thought process that goes behind everything. And there's always something cropping up that you can get your teeth stuck into, so to speak. And I just enjoy working along with the pigs, and working alongside some of the people on the farm and teaching them new things and just seeing them develop. And it's really nice to see all the hard work we put in, and the reward is seeing the pigs doing so well, seeing them flourishing, and knowing that you've had a part to play in that, and all this hard work pays off in the end. It's really nice to see the results and the pigs doing so well. The not so nice side of the job would be there's a lot of paperwork. Office work isn't my strong suit sometimes, so if I could cut all the paperwork, that'd be fantastic. If I could just have a little fairy that does it for me, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, no, there's always a part of the job that you don't like, and it's always very difficult to push that down the list, and that's the bit that you end up doing the following day, which probably is quite important. But with all farming, and Max will agree, with the beautiful area of Suffolk that he lives, you all that graft, whether you're an arable farmer, a pig farmer, or in the livestock sector, you get to see the fruits of your labour at some point at the end of it, which I think is very, very rewarding.
I still think we'd all make an interesting career in insurance. There's nothing wrong with insurance. Go on, Alex. I don't think you've answered Mark's question yet.
For me, the best thing is, especially at the minute, cows are obviously outside grazing still. The grass is growing tremendously at the minute with the weather that we've been having, and just seeing the girls out grazing, happy, milked, healthy, that sound of crunching grass as they eat their grass, just knowing that I'm doing a good job, and that satisfaction that my cows are all doing well. It just there literally isn't a thing that I would change about it. I think the only thing that I would say is a negative is the fact that there isn't enough people that are that want to farm, you know, because they don't understand it, or they see the negative things about farming. You know, finding people that are passionate about it, as passionate as you are, as passionate as I am about farming, you know, and it's a real shame that there isn't more people that really want to do it. Yeah.
Well done. Mark, can I just interject? I've got to, in a couple of weeks' time, I've got to do a big broadcast. I've been invited to go on about how do we attract and retain people within agriculture. And there's a 2 or 3 big politicians on that, including the shadow agricultural minister. And I was quite despondent this morning looking at the notes, thinking, because they got me in as the recruitment expert, and I was thinking, oh, what am I going to say? But actually, you 3 have enlightened me, because I think the future is very bright if we can attract more of you. And Mark and I didn't mean it this way, but the fact that you don't have a agricultural background per se, and now you have, and now you want to make it your career, we just, as we said earlier, we just need to put you all through the photocopier and create more little mini yous, so that we can get the sector even more populated. Sorry, Mark, over to you.
No, and I think you're dead right. It's how we make the industry kind of sexy again. If you look at my 15-year-old son and ask him and his mates what they want to do, they either be a professional footballer, professional rugby player, or they want to be a YouTuber. But how do we make agriculture and farming feature within those answers on a postcard, which is all good. So we're slowly ticking and running out of time. From what we've all discussed and everything, what would your sort of nuggets, 1 or 2 pieces of advice be to share with the viewers today on how do you think an individual could develop a future career in agriculture? What would your bit of advice be to that person, that school leaver, that young work experience student that's brave enough to come? What would your advice be to develop a career in agriculture? We'll go to you first, Rebecca.
Well, I'd say don't be afraid to get stuck in and try something new with an open mind. You know, you never know what you're going to find, and you might go to it thinking, oh, I'm not sure, come away thinking this is absolutely brilliant, this is what I want to do. Ask questions and put yourself out there. You know, with the right mindset and enthusiasm, anything's possible. You know, on the pig unit, we don't care if you've got any experience at all. With the right, if you want to learn, we'll show you. The possibilities are endless.
Having that curiosity to just ask some questions and just have a go and get stuck in, that's really, really good. What about yourself, Alex? What would your couple of pieces of advice be?
Pretty much the same as Rebecca, to be honest. You know, just ask questions. You know, I keep an open mind. There's so many, you know, I'll use dairy as an example because I'm in dairy, but it isn't just dairy farming. You know, there's so many different systems, so many different calving patterns, so many different parlours, so many different routines, you know, and if you know, you might try one and you might not like it, but don't give up. Try something else, you know, try a rotary parlour instead of a herringbone, or, you know, and there's just so many different options and different things that you can do, and different, you know, if you like calves, there's the calf rearing, or you like milking, or there's the tractor driving, and there's just so many different options, and you just need to just try. And if you just want to just try and experience it, you know, you don't have to commit to anything. You know, I'm sure plenty of farmers, if you know, spoke with local farmers, would allow you to come and try, you know, because people want younger people or new people to come into the industry. And you know, if someone came to me and asked me that they wanted to get into farming, you know, I would openly encourage that, and I would happily spend that time with them and show them, you know, the positive and the negative things, you know, because you can't sit there and say that negative things don't happen. It's just, we've just got to make ourselves more available to new people coming in, and you know, we've got to really make that time for them, and you know, try and help if people do want to do it, you know, get them progressed, and you know, get them learning and get them interested. And
no, that's really good. I think that's one thing, and Max might agree with it, that the UK agriculture industry is so varied and so different. And like you say, you just need to, once you've put your head above the parapet and stepped into it, there's lots of opportunity to go in lots of different directions, in terms of whether you want to be on farm, off farm, within the wider industry. There's masses. which is good.
Yeah, Mark, it's such a good point. When I started out, I was on pigs, and then I did dairy. Ended up with cereal, and I got a really good understanding of it. Then I ended up in farm assurance. Just remembered, but to be able to and see what you like, Alex, I think it's such a great idea, because then you'll find your forever home, won't you?
Yeah.
We've missed someone with that question mark, haven't we?
I think that's Leah. Leah, what would your piece of advice be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is that everyone has to start somewhere. So I remember when I had my first day starting, and you do have a bit of a thought of, do I know what I'm doing, because I've not been from farming, and that we need to crush that and encourage people to come on the farms. Like we have scouts and cubs come for visits to the farm, and they might be from towns, and they might never have even seen a cow properly before. It's about encouraging people to come into the industry, that you kind of getting in touch with people as much as they're getting in touch with you as well, because they might have never been shown or told about agriculture. So if we get in touch with them and encourage them, I think that's another way of getting them in as well. But there's so many opportunities, and you can't just, dairy's one sector, like you say, pigs is another sector. There's so many things you can do within it, and there'll always be jobs, because we're always going to need those products that we're producing. So
Leah, well done. Can I just give another example? There's a mate of mine who's not from farming background. He went to Harper. He did his placement year in a grain business, and to just saw the fact that it's not always easy. It's not, the sun isn't always shining. Alex, I bet you got cold feet for 6 months of the year and doing dairy. But with this particular individual, he always described it as his lay-by moment. And I've heard him lecture when he's doing school presentations, that he did something wrong in this job, and he was in a company car, and he just pulled into a lay-by, and he bawled his eyes out because he was so embarrassed and he was so sad about the mistake that he made. That individual is now running that business some 30 years on as the chairman, and he's grown it from a £20 million business to a £100 million business. And one of the formative things he learned was that lay-by moment, that sometimes you need to go through the lows to enjoy the highs. And Mark, I bet all three of them, our team here will know that. So just to, if you want something to be, if you want an easy life, go into insurance. I've got to stop that. But if you want something that's going to be challenging, come into farming and really enjoy it, and you'll learn from those mistakes. As long as they're not below the waterline, you'll learn from them, and you'll be better from them. Mark?
Yeah, no, I could completely agree with that piece, Max. Yeah, you've got to go through the ups and downs to learn from it, and definitely the world of agriculture had that challenge. But I think that there's been so many good points that we've discussed over the last hour, and I've written a few notes in terms of you as individuals, your passion, your mindset, your growth mindset, and your that desire to continue learning and pushing yourselves on, and opening those doors as you move into new areas of the industry, and as your careers unfold is infectious and should be a real testament to you. And we could say we're in good hands. We are in good hands as we move forward into the future. But I think some of the things like Max said about how do we get you guys more out there and more involved, so that people can see that. And the point that Leah just made, I was just thinking that it is a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation. We shouldn't assume that everyone's going to come to us as the farmer because we produce food, and we need to be a little bit more open as an industry to try and encourage people to get onto farm and see what we actually do. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, no, I think you summarise it really well. There's more that we could do as a sector, but the fact that you three fantastic ladies have taken some time out just so that we can extol your virtues, and we're hoping that people listening on the social media, whether they be an employer or employee or someone who's thinking about coming into the sector, they'll see that it's a really exciting sector to be aligned with. So thank you very much. I just want to set you all the challenge that if we don't see in, let's say, a 10-year period, Rebecca, if you're not the president of the National Pig Association, we're going to be having words. Alex, if you're not president of the National Dairy Association, we're going to be having words. And Leah, if you're not president of the National Association of Large Animal Vets, we're going to be having a word. So that's your challenge. that Mark and I are setting. You're wherever you go, you're going to make a great success of it. And Mark and I are going to be watching you, if that's okay, to see the success that you're going to make for yourselves and the sectors. Mark.
Excellent. No, definitely. We're definitely looking forward to watching the journey unfold. And thank you, all three of you, Rebecca, Leah, and Alex. I know you're very, very busy, for giving us a bit of time and sharing these insights as we move forward into this Talking Leader series, which is all good.
Team, well done. We'll wrap it up at that. So Rebecca, you're off to do your sheep. Alex, you're back out with the cows this afternoon. I've forgotten. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leah, you've got the afternoon off. I can't believe that. I think you're going to sneak back to that amazing farm that you work on. But whatever you do, have a great afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mark and Isaac and the AHDB team for another great, a lovely talk. We learned so much from all. We'll see you at the next one. Enjoy the rest of August, everyone.
Thank
See you next month.
you.